It's a scary world to me that somebody was sexual assault, basically rape.
Art. Thank you. Good morning. Hi, I'm Don Retzer, and I'm a member of your board of directors. I'm glad that you're here this morning. People have come for all kinds of different reasons today. It looks like most of the people would like to have their conversations and then gather into the group and then have conversations afterwards. Some people think that we gather because we're an ethical people working for the common good, a very noble cause. And some people think about the fact that we gather to grow in search of wisdom. And some people will think that we care for in support of community, or that we seek justice in order to have service, that we act in search of justice. That's our time of together. But me, I love to sing. I come to sing. And so in those moments when we say, will you rise in body or spirit, I get excited, because then we get to stand up, take this deep breath, and listen. Wow. We couldn't believe that we sang so well, especially if somebody right beside us sings really well. And we become what I think Kirsten called it last Sunday, the resonance of community emotions. We get together, we become something together. And those are magical moments for me. They're magical, and Jamie preached a sermon last May, which was called Magic, Metaphor, and Music. And I think she spoke for me what that experience is like in the way that it is in our community. That we bring together and sing this thing that is beyond the normal cognitive processes and sort of seeps into our spirit and changes us in a way that we really don't have a lot of control over. If you want to go back and listen to that YouTube video that Jamie had back in May, there's several hundred people who have listened to it. It tells that story of what music does in this kind of gathering. And so I invite you to be part of that today, as well as listen and use your brain, but to use your voice and your spirit as we become a community together. Now, if you really love to sing, know that the singers are gathered this Wednesday night. We start the new year this Wednesday night at 7:30, and we would love to have you come and raise your voice with us as well.
So, good morning. My name is Kirsten Fritz, and I am the ministerial intern here at First UU. I am a light beige white woman in my 40s. I have chin-length, straight light brown hair with gray streaks and clear-framed glasses. I use she, her pronouns, and today I'm wearing a black dress with plant designs on it. My worship associate this morning is Fred Salto. Our special music today is by Reggie Henderson and Jamie Kilpatrick. Our song leaders are Bari, Darlene, and Judith. And we also like to thank our tech booth, who make all the logistics possible both in this room and online. It's our custom to open worship by welcoming our visitors. If you are a visitor this morning and you feel comfortable identifying yourself, please raise your hand and wait for Jamie, our director of worship, to come around with a microphone. When she reaches you, please share your name and where you are visiting from. Do we have any visitors in the room this morning? Yay!
Hello. My name is John Hine. This is my wife, Emily Hine. We are Richmond locals, so we're visiting from the area.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rowland, and I'm here with my husband, Joe Alexander, and we are local Richmond residents as well, and we always ride our bike by this beautiful building, and it's time to see what the garden's about and all the good energy emanating from your signs. So we're happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Deborah, and this is Gary. We visited in March and really enjoyed it for the Easter service. And we came at that time because we're planning on moving, and now we're here, and we're very excited. Thank you.
Welcome back. Any more visitors?
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from Midlothian. That's it.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, I'm Mia, and I'm from Blacksburg, Virginia.
Well, did we miss anybody on this side of the room? No. Well, wonderful. Welcome. We're glad that you're here. And now that we've introduced ourselves, please turn and greet your neighbor.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I like having that.
Do you need a second ding? Let us prepare for worship. This is Love is the Center and Foundation by Sherry Woodbury. Again, we re-ground ourselves here in our highest values. Love is the center and foundation of this faith. Love is the power that holds us together as a community. As we enter into worship, then, let us open our hearts to the healing power of liberating love. Because love is not something we only receive, but something we practice in community. Let fall away all that might distract us from the wholehearted practice of love. Let us be accountable one to another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. As we continue to listen and learn, to act and grow, may each unfold in wholeness, both deeply loving and truly loved. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. My name is Fred Salto, and I'm a 70-plus white male with some glasses, mostly bald and a gray beard, and a ponytail. I'm wearing gray slacks and a light blue shirt, and I use pronouns of he and him. For our chalice lighting this morning, we have the words For the Freedom of Faith by Heather Jonas. Our prophets died for the freedom of faith. We are here in their spirit. We are here to practice and sustain our living tradition. To light a chalice, claiming for justice the heat and power of fire in our free faith. We are here, seeking freedom from despair, the freedom to be loved as ourselves, and the freedom to grow beyond imagination. We are here, gathered in the name of all that is holy. Let us give thanks for the gift of gathering here. Our opening hymn for this morning, if you can rise in body and spirit and join in singing hymn number 2 from the gray hymnal, Down the Ages We Have Trod. For our share of the plate this morning, please join me in welcoming Kristen Sayer to tell us more about this month's Share of the Plate organization, Beaver Boosters.
Hi all. Thank you so much for allowing me to share about Westover Hills Elementary School's Beaver Boosters again. This is the eve of the first day of school for a lot of the kids, so we're all excited and things have already started happening. The schools are busy. So to tell you a little bit about the Beaver Boosters, it's made up of families, caregivers, community members, faculty, and staff who are committed to supporting the students of Westover Hills Elementary School through their time, talent, and resources. I want to share a little bit about our school. Our school is right across the Nickel Bridge and serves the students on the south side of Richmond. 70% of our student population is classified as economically disadvantaged, and close to 80% of our school identifies as BIPOC. And our school, like many others in the Richmond region, is seeing an influx of students who have newly arrived in the country who are English language learners, which has been an exciting thing that has changed even since the time that my oldest started there about 5 years ago. One of the things that the Beaver Boosters like to do is just support and kind of any way that we can, guided by the principal as to where the most needs are in the school. So we do things like support specific initiatives, like supporting attendance, or things like before and after school opportunities. But one of the things that we do is also just support community events at the school. So for example, we had our back to school bash this week, and one of the things that the Beaver Boosters does is make sure that there's food, which can be a big help for just getting more families to attend the events. So we support by buying and grilling lots and lots of hot dogs sometimes. Or this week it was spaghetti dinners for folks to take home after coming to the back to school bash. So any of your donations would really help just to be able to have the supplies to make things like that happen. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kristen. So to contribute to this organization and the health of this church, please place your gifts in the basket by using one of the other methods listed on the screen. Your gifts will be greatly received.
Around us lies, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of night. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Thank you, Reggie. Even though our kids are downstairs today, our reading is based on A Time for All Ages, a story by Reverend Jamie Dingus. And this is adapted from the Article 2 and our UU technology writing. So sometimes I think we often get more out of children's sermons. However, let me begin. When I was thinking about the things that changed this week, I started to think about technology. Technology is something that I have seen change over and over again in my lifetime. Have you noticed it in your life? First, we had a cassette. Some people might not even remember that. Then we had CDs. Then we had MP3 players. The type of technology changed, but something important stayed the same. What stayed the same? If you know the answer, feel free to say it. Yeah, right. People want to be able to hear music. First, we had a VHS tape. Then we had a DVD, and now we have Netflix, amongst others. The type of technology changed, but something important stayed the same. What stayed the same? Right, movies. We wanted to be able to watch movies. First, we had a floppy disk. I remember you having to put the floppy disk even to be able to write anything. Then a thumb drive. Now we have Google Docs. The type of technology changed, but something important stayed the same. What stayed the same? Yeah. We wanted to be able to save and share files. Friends, what is most important stays the same, but the way we do it has changed. And in Unitarian Universalism, we have used the 7 principles as our technology for our faith since 1985. That was a long time ago. And when people made the switch from cassettes, that was about the time when people made the change from cassettes to CDs. In June of 2024, thousands of UUs voted to update the technology of our faith. This technology has 7 new shared values. Thank you. They are pluralism, interdependence, equity, transformation, justice, and generosity. And right in the center is love. And now it's up to us to figure out how to use this technology and these new values to live out our UU faith in this world. There's a lot to think about here, and we know that change is hard. It can be uncomfortable. And like any time we learn a new technology, it takes a little time to adjust. But we also know that as long as we commit to moving forward in love, we can change and change again and again. And what we love most will stay at the heart of our faith, and that is love. Thank you.
All right, let us take a few minutes to get comfortable in our seats. You can soften your eyes or close your eyes. Take some deep breaths. In and out. In and out. This is When Everything is New by Susan Mangan. Sometimes you can open your eyes and find that everything is new. Like you moved to a new town and don't know where your grocery store is, don't even know what lies at the end of your own street. You can open your eyes and everything is new, like a shock, like the call that delivers the message, the headlights that enlarge and brighten in slow motion, the phrase that can never be retracted, tumbling out the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Sometimes you can blink away the new world, closing your eyes, catching familiar dark waves, seeing nothing but your silhouetted womb world, hearing nothing but those sweet old spoonfuls of faith. But the newness of the world can also happen like an invitation, planned, earned, calculated, mass plus speed equals force. And with outstretched arms, you have imagined this new world, sung, prayed, and drawn it into reality. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated for our meditation hymn, number 123 in the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. So the very first time I walked into a Unitarian Universalist church, it was in 2004 at the First UU Church of Nashville. And I kind of walked into, they have a very unusual sunken sanctuary. And I sat on a pew, I did not know anyone. And that was back when we printed paper bulletins, paper orders of service. So all I had to do while I waited for this thing I had never experienced before, knew nothing about service, was read every ounce of that paper bulletin, front to back. And when I got to the back, on the back were printed the 7 principles and the 6 sources. And I started to weep, because that was the moment I knew I had found the right faith tradition for me. So the principles are very near and dear to my heart. And we have recently changed a big part of our overarching Unitarian Universalism governance. So how many of you know that the Unitarian Universalist Association recently changed from the 7 principles and 6 sources to the 6 shared values with love at the center that Fred showed you the image of earlier? Raise your hands. Okay, that's a good number. So for those of you who are already familiar with the process, this will be like a review. And for those of you who are less than familiar, I hope that this brief overview will kind of help you feel a little more up to speed with the process that led to the change. So why does the Unitarian Universalist Association get to change the 7 principles? They do and they don't. So the 7 principles and 6 sources were originally written for Article 2 of the UUA's bylaws. Article 2 is the section of the bylaws that describes the purpose of the UUA and the covenant made between member congregations of the association. So these are legal and organizational functions of governance. The 7 principles that you were probably familiar with were written in 1985 to replace the principles that were written in 1961 for the merger of the Unitarian and Universalist denominations. The UUA's bylaws require that we review and consider whether or not we need to revise the bylaws every 15 years. But it took 40 years before we were ready to take a look at the 7 principles. In 2020, the UUA created the Article 2 Study Commission. The commission was issued a charge that details the expectation and process of reviewing the association bylaws. So I'm going to read just parts, it's really long, from the charge to the commission. The Commission on Appraisal, in its report, Engaging Our Theological Diversity, cites Robert Miller's study of Unitarian Universalism, stating, UUs ranked loving as an instrumental value and mature love as a terminal value more highly than did respondents from other groups, religious and non-religious. Love is center and foundational to how we think about our faith. Dr. Cornel West says that justice is what love looks like in public. Our commitment to personal, institutional, and cultural change rooted in anti-oppression, anti-racism, and multiculturalism values and practices is love in action and should be centered in any revision of Article 2. Now, if you remember, our 7 principles, I don't think they actually include the word love. The commission went on to say, to really give the group that they were charging lots of freedom. They said, we want you to be creative. We want you to really think about what Unitarian Universalists believe now and what we need going into the near future. And they said, there is nothing sacred about the number of principles or sources, nor their specific wordings, nor in the way that Article 2 is laid out. We encourage creativity. The board would like to see an Article 2 that is inspirational, memorable, and poetic. Finally, the principles and purposes should lead us into the second quarter of the 21st century while honoring the historic roots of our liberal progressive faith. So they brought together a group of people, most of whom were lay people. There were also some religious professionals on the commission committee, and most of them were volunteers, people like you. And they spent 2 years engaging as many UUs as they possibly could. So they engaged in 45 feedback sections with 4,611 total participants. Their videos reached 7,765 viewers, and their 29 surveys generated a total of 10,925 responses. They were pretty thorough, in other words. In early 2023, the Commission issued a report proposing changes to the UUA Article 2 bylaws that aligned with the spirit and energy of the charge they were given. Then in May 23, we had this amendments phase where people and congregations could send in suggestions for edits to the proposal. We went to GA, which is our national business meeting, and we all talked about the changes, and we kept some and we threw out others. And we decided to vote to study for a whole nother year to really look at it. And so you may remember that last year, every month we had a worship service that was one of the values listed in that flower picture. Then in this past June, in 2024, at the National Assembly, the delegates we did a little bit of final edits, and then it passed. And now, instead of the principles and sources being in the Article 2 bylaws, now we have the 7 values. 6 values with love at the center, I guess. So what does Article 2 do for us? If the 7 principles came from our association's government documents, I love Rob Spirko, a member of the Article 2 Commission, likes to point out that it's kind of unusual that most organizations don't hang their bylaws on their walls or print them in their hymnals or on their orders of service. So that section, the Article 2 section, had a lot of functions for us as a denomination beyond just governance. It included theological functions like how do we articulate our shared values and theology? Social functions, what is our shared cultural touchstone? Educational functions, these are the lists of things that we're going to talk about and teach our children. Personal functions, what is our personal code of ethics in relation to our faith? Evangelical functions, how do we explain what we believe to people outside of this denomination? And rhetorical functions, we used it in public situations to kind of define our beliefs and morality in legal or political contexts. So that's a lot of different functions than most organizations expect from their bylaws. And in part, this comes, we think, because Unitarian Universalism does not have a creed. We don't have, this is the one thing we all must believe. Instead, we have a covenant. And a covenant is how we promise to be in relationship with each other. How are we going to hold each other accountable? How are we going to work together? And what are we going to work together on? So this is from the Article 2 study report. The principles express a shared ethic and imply a certain theology, one that values the individual, growth, the natural world, and diversity. But it does not name these values explicitly, nor does it name many other values important to us collectively. It also gives no guidance on how we might approach living out these values in our congregations and the world. It declares itself to be a covenant, but the only actions it asks of us, and this was the 7 principles, of congregations are to affirm and promote certain concepts. We believe we should expect more from a covenant. As one member put it, we need more verbs. If you'll remember, we often talk about historically being a faith of deeds, not creeds. So verbs are a rather important aspect of our faith. So the commission decided that they wanted a structure that would articulate our shared values, then use those values as ground for aspirational statements for action. So they are aspirational, but they're the things we want to try to do together. And the commission also really wanted to focus on the fact that we are a living tradition. So we do not believe that revelation is sealed. So faiths that believe that revelation is sealed believe that everything that important that ever happened a long time ago, and it's done. But when revelation is open, when we are a living tradition, we keep changing as the world keeps changing. We learn, we grow, we adapt together. So I want to go through the beautiful image that they showed before. Oh, great, they put it up for me. Thank you, guys. So this image, for those who cannot see it well is a chalice with an overlay of the word love over the flame at the center. And then there are 6 outstretched arms that create a circle around each of the core values and form a 6-petal flower shape. Each arm is a different color, and clockwise, they are interdependence orange, equity in red, transformation in purple, pluralism in blue, generosity in green, and justice in yellow. So one of the other things that's really nice about this is it is not a list. Right? When we have a list and things are numbered, like the first principle and the 7th principle, there's a hierarchy of what we think is more important or less important. And this kind of gives us more room to play with how they relate to each other as values, what's important today versus tomorrow. It's a little bit more freedom. But I am, for those who might not have seen it before, going to go ahead and read, luckily it's not super long, the different values and the statements that are in our new Article 2 that is now in our association's bylaws. So interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. Next step, because we believe in interdependence, we covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. So we are connected not only to each other, but to all of the earth, to the living world. And we have a responsibility to have a mutually accountable relationship with each of those living things. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in cultural experience and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Now, pluralism is a pretty challenging idea. It's a wonderful idea, like we're all going to be different and be together, and that would be okay. And yet it is quite challenging when we are all different and together. And it's a beautiful aspiration to let each of us find what we need in community. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. And because we believe in justice, we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. And because we believe in transformation, we covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope, and because we believe in generosity, we covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. And because we believe in equity, we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. So that's kind of a big change, isn't it? From 7 principles, and I will confess, even after being a Unitarian Universalist for 20 years, I cannot recite them all from memory, to a new set of 6 values with love at the center. They also changed the section that is about sources, because if you remember, we had 6 sources, and they were very specific. And we've changed those. We've added a few over time. But now they've changed it to be about inspirations, so that we're not naming a specific tradition. It used to name Judeo-Christian traditions, because it's hard to name all of the traditions and all of the ways that we are inspired in the world. So the new section is called Inspiration, and it has a little bit more room for all of the ways that we find wisdom. So whenever there is change, there is grief. It's a loss. And I want to be respectful of the fact that it can be very painful to lose what is so familiar and very deeply beloved. Many of the words and themes from the 7 principles have made their way into our values statements. And most importantly, the 7 principles are not going anywhere. They're not erased. In fact, having this change in the bylaws preserves the 7 principles as they are. We're not going to edit them. We're not going to change them. They are this entity. And the bylaws now has this new entity, which is the values with love at the center. So that means we can keep our 7 principles. We can keep them in our hymnal. We can keep them in our homes. We can keep them on our walls. They are still part of our faith tradition. They're just no longer in our bylaws. So for some people, this is going to feel like a scary change. And for others, it's going to feel really exciting and invigorating. It's a time of exploration and self-discovery, a time of becoming. How can we live into the future of our faith? Can we explore how we can apply these values to our lives today, to the decisions that we make about our church life and our personal lives? Can we ask ourselves, is this just? Is this equitable? Is this interdependent? Is this pluralistic? Is this transformative? Is it generous? And allow those questions to guide the work that we do together in this covenanted community. Most of all, I love that love is at the center, acknowledged for the first time that this is the foundation and the thing that holds us together as a faith tradition. May it be so.
Anybody can tell you what a world this would be if we learn to love each other. I know we would see it. Sharing what's in our hearts, we learn to live together through the stormy weather. No matter how hard we try, we've got to keep believing we can make a better world and fill the world with love. Fill the world with joy. Give what's in your heart. Fill the world with love. Shine a light in someone's life. Try to make a difference. Reach down inside your heart and show you really care. Someone may find in you hope for their tomorrow. All you did was smile, and you will only feel that God put you there. You can believe that you can really fill the world with love. Fill the world with joy. Give what's in your heart. Fill the world with love. You may not change the world, but you can give it a fighting chance. Don't know what tomorrow brings, but we can make a go of it. I believe that we can really fill the world with love. Fill the world with joy. Give what's in your heart. Fill the world now. Fill the world with love. Fill the world with joy. Give what's in your heart. Fill the world with love. Thank you.
That was powerful. For our chalice extinguishing, kindle new sparks. We have basked in the warmth and beauty of this flame and this community. As the chalice flame is extinguished, let us carry its glow within. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls and beyond. Let it be so.
Our benediction today is "We Hold Hope Close" by Julian Jamaica Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like the North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Amen, and blessed be. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 131 in the gray hymnal, "Love Will Guide Us."